Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So today is the 19th, December 19th, Friday, December 19th. And so it's the long awaited day if you've been following the 3i Atlas comet. So this will be a little bit of a recap for those of you that have been watching me for a little while. But when the comet first entered into our solar system in July, I didn't know anything about it, but my body, my nervous system was registering something, and I started having body symptoms that I hadn't had in a really long time. I had the same experience when the solar energy started increasing for us with the solar gate. And so then I learned about this comet, and it was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so then when I was able to calm down my nervous system and be like, it's just new information. Let's just find out what is going on. The message that I kept getting, what I was feeling from this consciousness that had entered into our galaxy. So again, it was coming from outside of our solar system. So what I felt from it was a communication of the largest, most expanded version of ourselves, where it was from outside of the cap, outside of the matrix, outside of this whole system that we've been living in, and bringing us the codes or the memory of what it's like beyond that, what it's like beyond the capping, okay, what it's like beyond lack and limitation. And so it's like July is when it came in. October 3rd is when it came closest to Mars. October 29th is when it came closest to the sun. And then November 3rd or 4th is when it came to closest to Venus, and now closest to the Earth. And then in March, it passes through by Jupiter and then leaves. And so it's just, we've been journeying this, whether with this energy, whether we know it or not. There's been, and you might, if you reflect, it's like a lot of us, especially in the last few weeks, have been getting down to the very dregs of a lot of the patterns that within us that we couldn't see. And so it would be like the deepest distortion whenever that happened. And then that's connected to all of the miscreations in our lives. So I was talking about that in the last reading, how I had that really huge trigger connected to my needs and to feeling that I'm allowed to have needs and all this. And so since that reading, I've had other triggers, like other perfectly divinely timed triggers with divine catalysts that are just sort of that same issue, but from a different angle, like almost like, oh, you thought you saw it. No, look at it from this angle, and so it's just been this crunching. I'm watching my daughter go through the same thing, and pretty much everybody that I talk to is having some version of this. And maybe it's not everybody, but at least the people that are resonating with this, or that are really kind of on the edge of these energies, the edge of this evolution, and just kind of raising your hand to go the whole way. And then when we start getting crunched through, like, oh wait, what's happening? It's like, oh no, we asked for this. We asked to pace with this and to help anchor and create this. So a lot of the really deep roots and resolution. So when I had that moment where I was super triggered, and I was just kind of sitting there and feeling it all, and it was just a flood of like clarity around like how I was enabling all of this and creating all of this. And I've had this type of energy in my life before, but maybe for more superficial blocks that I had, this one being, it was just so overwhelming because it was woven into everywhere area of my life, into all my neural pathways. And it's just, and that's the kind of stuff that we're getting into, the stuff that's just driven driven us, like, how do you even say it? It's woven into everything, right? It's woven into everything. And you think, how am I ever going to get out of this? Like, it's so monumental. Like, there's this huge wall in front of you, and you're laying at the bottom of the wall. Like, how am I going to get over this? And yet knowing that just seeing it and having the intention. So we were talking about this in the last reading, how our intentions and what we focus on in the behind and in our imaginal mental space is what's actually creating and moving the energy. And so just the belief that you are getting through this, and that you will be guided to the right support if you need it, if you need support externally, and that you will have the insights, and you will have the clarity and the dreams and the synchronicities and the realizations, and just knowing that, and surrender, and just surrendering to the path that it's going to take. And this is true for anything that we're trying to create or intend for, like knowing what you want. There's, for me, the wants, I've been working with this a lot because, oh my gosh, I'd have a desire or want, and I would just immediately gaslight myself or tell myself how, if it involved setting a boundary or upsetting somebody else, I would just, I wouldn't do it. And I gave myself away over and over and over again in so many different ways. But anyway, having a need, having a desire, knowing that your desire is valid, and that if you can see it and feel it and want it, then you can pull it towards you. And then knowing that, and then just letting go and being in the flow and walking the path that will lead you to that, So my daughter was going through something similar, her version of this, and we were doing an energy work session for her, and she was just like, I just don't know how. She just felt so much despair, like, I don't know how I'm ever gonna get over this. And I was like, oh yeah, I just did this like 2 or 3 days ago. Like, just trust that you're gonna. And I said to her, it's gonna be a lot easier than you think. It's going to be so much easier than you think. And by the end of the session, she was having all this clarity and realization because her energy was lining up and flowing, and she could hear. And that's the other thing. I've also witnessed people in sessions when they start talking about things that they love, or they talk about they get into a conversation or a focus where their energy starts moving. They'll literally, like, I can just stand there and just watch the energy and be like, look, you're clearing your energy just by having self-affirming thoughts, just by focusing on things that bring you joy and bring you into your own energy and your alignment. You're literally clearing the blocks in your field, and you're going to be able to hear yourself more, and your body is going to heal faster because your higher energy through the cerebral spinal fluid is going to be able to flow to all those places. And so again, it's like when we start to harness our energy in that way and focus on what we're believing, or focus on things that make us feel good, then we can start to hear. So that was what was happening for her as the energy was clearing. It was kind of the opposite, right? The energy was clearing. She was able to hear herself. So whether you clear your energy, you can hear more, or you're hearing yourself. So that was the other thing that I have really been feeling, is the importance of getting your thoughts and your desires and your feelings and your unique perspective out in some way. Like, for me, it's easy to talk. I have Gemini, Moon, and Mars in the first house. I have a grand air trine. It's like I have a lot of between Mercury, Pluto, and the Moon. So I have in a kite facing Neptune. So I have a lot of communication is very easy for me, and it's part of why I'm here and what I'm here to do. And I realize that not everybody has that. Not everybody can translate the subtle energies and put it into words. But to anchor your energy and your highest needs, visions, perspectives in some way, whether it's through journaling or painting or dancing, because sometimes what we're perceiving and what we're feeling, we can't put into words. And even as somebody who can put things into words, what I've been finding myself doing lately, and it started in the middle of the night, like I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would realize that I was toning, and not out loud, but like in my head, there were like tones and sounds, and I wasn't hearing them. They were me, and they were coming through me. And I also noticed that I'm doing that a lot during the day. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm doing it again. I'm toning, and I do it out loud. And if I'm alone, I'll do it really loud, and I'll go full range, like really high, really low, and all around in between. And I don't even notice that I'm doing it. And so there's something about that, like the voice and the expressing. And so like expressing our true tone, our true frequency, our undiluted, undistracted, uncovered up, ungaslit by ourselves or others, frequency, desires, transmission, and putting it into physical form somehow. And so for me, and I've been talking about the throat, and a lot of us having scratchy throats and stuff like that. So maybe that's why some of us are needing to speak or write or tone in that way. And maybe for somebody else, it comes through a different center, maybe through painting or arting, creating through art or dancing, again, the things that you can't quite put into words, but you can express it in some way. You can move your body in a way that expresses it, or you can find different tones and sounds that express it. I do feel that in any way that we're moving energy, again, just like I was saying in the sessions, when somebody's even just talking about or thinking about or feeling something that makes them really happy, it clears their energy. Same thing when we're creating or we're moving. It's like doing our own energy work so that we can line up, and then we can move through these processes. We can help facilitate moving through these processes, having the realizations, the connections, the clearings in a support ourselves through this in this way. Um, so the other thing that I was going to say that came to my mind around the toning was, so a friend sent me something about the teeth and how the ancients used to regrow their teeth through frequency and sound. We also know that they built a lot of the temples and pyramids through frequency and sound. We can heal cancer. We can heal all these things through frequency and sound. And so just, although there's lots of different ways, there does seem to be a lot with the frequency and the sound and the toning, and through our own vessel, through our own vocal cords, and through our own just instinctively, intuitively finding the sounds and pitch and notes, and playing with the voice and the vocal cords and loud. And, you do it loud enough and it gets this resonance, it's like, I feel like it's doing something, like it's clearing. So a lot of what I had been feeling is just all the false creations that we've, the ways we've created falsely in our lives, through the ways that we've turned on ourselves and gotten the wrong idea, and just, so that's what I'm always talking about, separating, bringing the masculine and the feminine back within us, where our masculine is saying, oh, because I was thinking about the situation when I was really young, and I was probably like 16, and I had just learned to drive, and I was driving my car, and I went to visit this guy, I don't know, I guess it was a date, but I went to his house, and it was like in a really bad neighborhood in the city. I kind of lived in the suburbs, and I was very uncomfortable, and I had a really bad feeling about it. Now, like if I was about to do something and I had that bad of a feeling, I would just not go, I just would not go. But I ignored myself, and I went the whole time I was there. I was like on the verge of a panic attack and felt really weird. And if I was me now, I'd be like, holy shit, there's entities like all over the place over here. I'm getting the fuck out of here. But I stayed and I stayed and I stayed. And then when I left, my car window had been smashed and my car had been broken into, and, so that kind of thing. And so I was just thinking about that though, but how we can ignore ourselves, and then the ripple effects of that as we ignore, and how it can affect other people and affect property, and, all these things, right? And so what I was feeling with the toning is that it's like reverberating out. It's almost like what I was saying last week when I went through that trigger and I felt my energy like reverberate out, and I saw that green and magenta dragon. I think a lot of us are having dragon energies because we're claiming and correcting. There's like a timeline correction going on right now for a lot of us. And it's really deep, and it can be really painful and scary. Again, that wall where you're like, how am I going to get on the other side of this? But again, just knowing that what we do in the behind is so, so powerful. So I felt that reverberation energy, and that's what I'm feeling from the toning that I keep finding myself doing. And I feel like it's like, rather than abandoning that inner knowing of like, energy feels weird, like, oh, you're probably just stupid, or you're just a little scaredy cat or sheltered person. Well, I didn't know I was young. Maybe I was, I was, but anyway, it was like, just ignoring that inner knowing, ignoring those spidey senses, and getting in the habit of ignoring, where it speaks up and you just have such a neural pathway around ignoring yourself, whatever your version of this is, right? And so the toning is like bringing through our original frequency, bringing through our original song, and just letting it be in this unadulterated form where it's just, it's correcting. That's what I feel it's doing. It's correcting. And we know that sound and frequency heals. It heals our body. It's like we're healing the timelines. We're healing our bodies. We're healing the people that were affected by our miscreations throughout time and space. And so I feel like there's a lot of really, really, really deep, intense soul work going on right now, but also deep, intense repair. So we might be aware of the more upfront version of this, which is that we might feel horrible. We might be waking up, depressed or heavy or strange dreams, or we might be triggered, or all these things where we might be ruminating a lot and thinking about things from our past and being like, oh my gosh, but behind that and amidst that, there's this huge restoration. So this is where I feel that it connects with Atlas. And so again, today, or whatever we want to call it. So today, again, I had heard that last night at 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is when it, I guess, was the closest. I don't know how it works. I don't know how fast it's moving. I don't know if it's standing still for a whole day, or, I don't know. We're moving through. How long is it in our range? How long did we? I was feeling yesterday, I woke up for the first time in a while and I was completely blissed out. And I was, I would have like moments of bliss and happiness and all this, but there was just a lot of heavy moving and a lot of triggers and a lot of rumination and a lot of recapitulation and a lot of just getting things in order. And yesterday I woke up so happy. I was just so incredibly blissed out, and all day long was magic. All day long was magic. And I thought, wow, I wonder if that's connected to this energy, this consciousness coming in and through. But I do feel that leading up to this, there's been a lot of heavy feelings and a lot of, and probably a lot of us still in that. I know my daughter is still really in that and moving through it. And maybe I just got a little break yesterday. I don't know. I've been working pretty hard for a couple weeks, and so. Anyway, and then today I've just been really busy. I've been busy doing readings and sessions and just kind of, I don't know, just like in the flow with this energy. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this settles. But it does feel, and even the session that I had today, there was like really, really deep, rooty things. And the session was different than any session I had ever had. There were like new patterns coming through, and I was like, okay, we're in a new energy, because that's when the new patterns come in, when I start seeing, because what will happen is there will be I'll see the same patterns over and over again, where it's like, oh, okay, this is what the collective is working on right now, because I'm always reading collective energies. But then all of a sudden there will be a session that's completely different. And then after that, things will start to change and they'll start to take a new pattern or form. And I feel like we're in another one of those. I think it's interesting that I saw that today. It feels like validation that something has, in the field, and it's presenting differently. And again, I feel that it's this huge reunion with ourselves. And of course, that's going to take some clearing out of that which is in the way. But again, this reunion and descending. So again, like I always say with the energy sessions, when things clear and the energy, the polarities restabilize, so there's a solid platform. And then the higher aspects that were waiting to come in that couldn't come in because there was a pretzel, the energy wasn't allowing it. It wasn't open to flow. They start to come in and they integrate into the energy field, where we're transmitting more of ourselves into the field, which changes our point of attraction. So we start attracting in and drawing in more of what's a match to us at this new level. And again, remembering that, and also know, if you are in town or you're passing through town, I am available to support with this through energy work sessions, where 2 or more gather is really powerful. But also knowing that you can move your energy and clear your energy field through things that I was saying, just doing something creative, harnessing and channeling and grounding your energy. It literally clears your field, and can be really, really powerful if you don't have somebody in your area that you know of or trust to help support you with that. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, nothing else is coming. So let me jump into the cards and just do some reading on what wants to come through today around Atlas and where we're at, and any support, advice, or clarity. Okay, yeah, the cards have been really jumping off the table today. That was happening in the oh, okay, that was too many. I'm not going to take all those, but I will show them quickly. We have Flamingo Spirit, embrace the in-between, and Koala Spirit has a plan. No, I am going to take these because that feels so accurate. And then Spider Spirit, make your dreams real. So there we go. That's a really big message. It's like, again, there is a plan. Spirit has a plan. We are in between right now. And this creation energy has been coming up so much in the last several readings. This make your dreams real. And again, the focus and the working behind. And again, if you're sitting in the center of your web and you're in your sovereignty and you're honoring your needs and your desires and you're taking action on them, you're affecting everything else in the web. It's the web. It's the true worldwide web, where we're all playing our piece and we're creating this together. We're creating in the new. Okay. That's powerful. It does seem like a day to get 3 overall energies. And this is an 11. So again, there's that portal energy walking into the new. But again, we're in between. And 2 and 6 being an 8. There's the 8's always representing what's like the scorpionic energy, the hidden, the occult, the behind. So things that we can't see. There's a lot in the works behind that we can't see, but there is a plan to all of this being spirit backed. And this is also an 8. So yeah, a lot behind the scenes. Okay. And even the spider, the body of the spider always having that sort of infinity and 8 type of symbolism as well. All right, so let's see here. Let's get some cards. Oh wow. Okay, so the Ace of Fire. This is my higher timeline card. This is what we're feeling, what it's all for, what we're clearing for, what all of the restitution and what was the word that I was using? Correction, the correction energy, the restoring energy. Okay, so just validating that's really, really in the field, no matter how you're feeling. Some of you might be feeling really great. You might be feeling really clear because you just hauled some ass at the root level, and some of you might still be in that. And I know for myself, I'm still recapitulating. I'm still making connections. And every morning I'm just intending and focusing my energy to be able to maneuver differently with the patterns. These are really deep patterns that have got, just like this, in the positive way and in the negative way. It's like this pattern that we're disabling is connected to everything. It's like it's connected to the whole web. And even if we've been working, I've been going through trials and initiations for 20 years. The trials lasted a long time, and then I'd say the last 5 years have been like nonstop initiation, bringing me back into this energy, into my true energy. And a lot of us have been doing that, but there's something about right now. And I think the presence of Atlas and just the divine timing, part of the plan where we're really seeing on levels that we couldn't see at before. We had to get strong enough. We had to know our strength. We had to know, we had to get familiar with this terrain of where we're going and be able to access this within ourselves, so that when we, it's like the spider when it comes down on its web, it's connected to that web. It's connected, and it can pull itself back up. It's not going to drop down there before it knows how to make its web. We were figuring out how to make and play that web before we went down into those deepest places. Not that we haven't been going into the deepest places, but it's like we're untangling. If you ever do any sort of like cord cutting, or you're clearing something out of yourself or somebody, and you feel it pulling out, and sometimes there's like, it's like, and you gotta like pour some solution on it or something, so they go like this, so you can pull them the whole way out, and that's kind of the level that we're on now, where we're really getting the roots, and the roots are tangled, and you got to be patient and kind of wait for them to so they're going to get caught on stuff, and this one's going to break off and stay in there. There's a finesse to this unraveling, and you have to have a level of mastery to get to that level, or have people that can support you with that level of mastery. And I think that's where a lot of us are coming as well. We're getting to this place where we're able to be of profound service for people, because we've been walking through this labyrinth and learning the inner terrain for a really long time. And right at this time where humanity is shifting, again, this is coming out underneath, we're in between humanity. The masses are on the brink of this and going through this. And so they're needing support. And a lot of us being in a position to support, or what I was going to say, to support. Yeah, I guess just that. Oh, wow. These are very beautiful cards. So the Four of Wands, this is a card of union, celebration, marriage coming together. So again, the weaving together. It seems, and again, the weaving and bringing together that web and that net to catch others, to assist. So I feel like I was trying to say something else, but it almost wouldn't let me. It's like, we're here to hold support. I feel like this is the message. It's like with the shift that we're moving into through Atlas, there's a whole support team coming that has had that inner union that's here to catch whoever needs it, because we're all coming up. It's like a net, we're all coming up onto this higher level. Some people chose to be a front runner, to go through those demolitions and those hard trials where you just lose yourself completely and you have to crawl your way back up, and you go through all the initiations. And those of us that are on that journey, it's like we're finding each other, and we're seeing it's the same initiations. And when we talk, it's like, oh my gosh, gosh, the number of synchronicities are insane, unbelievable. And so my soul sister and I, we often say like, it's like one goddess, many bodies, you know? And so that's how we can all understand each other on that telepathic level, and really be able to empath. Like you can see so many people, especially like on Facebook, where a lot of us are meeting each other through the posts and through the sharings and through the art. It's like we're all feeling this collective energy. And again, we're all expressing it in different ways, whether it's through visuals or words, or through visuals, through paintings, through photographs, or through singing, or you know, whatever it is, right? Sharing memes, even you can catch somebody's energy and vibe, and you recognize it. You know that they're part of that path as well, part of those that are weaving this web. So so a lot of that, and if you're not identifying with that, you're not resonating with that, just know that there is a plan. If you are sort of in this in between where you feel like you're doing the dark, because again, we go in waves. You know, there's a wave that goes and is prepared to hold, and then there's a wave that goes next, and it's a little bit easier for that wave because there's more lights. You know, there's more lights in the darkness, and you can see a little more, and you have a little more support. So depending on like what you've trained for, or what you signed up for, or how hard of a journey you had, or how dark it was when you started out, you know. But again, it's all part of that plan, and we can't all go at once. And some people need to stay. So I often talk about this, you know, some people need to stay and be a little bit more plugged into the old energy because we're transitioning. And so there needs to be security and structures enough to hold us as we do the healing. You know, like not everybody can be doing the deep diving, but not everybody can also be sort of working and holding society together. It's like we're all, you know, these deep divers are doing it for those that are sort of playing in the matrix more. We're getting the lights ready for you when it's your turn to go. And you're also holding space for them. You know, those people are holding space for the others, because you have a structure, and there are supports for those that need to dedicate their whole focus and energy on the alchemy and the alchemy and the awakening, which is for all. Okay, so that message, and really honoring where everybody is at. And again, that reminder of like, you really can't know what another person is going through if you haven't walked through their shoes. And so I've been having what feels to me, and it could just be triggering my wounding, but what feels like a lot of judgment around or projection onto my path and the way I do things, and assumptions being made, you know. And it's like, meanwhile, like these people don't know, they haven't walked in my shoes, and they don't know what I've been doing behind the scenes, or what's been going on, and that's okay. You know, that's okay, because you can't know unless you've walked it. But again, that part of that honoring your own journey, no matter what it looks like, or no matter what judgment you might have placed on you, or projection, or comparison, or whatever it is, you know, wherever you're at in this, it's like you're playing your exact role for this plan, and for the part of the web that we're all a part of. Okay, so just always saying that. And I do feel that there are lots of different people that watch these readings, and I feel they're applicable for everyone on different levels. Okay, and so just take what resonates and what makes sense and is helpful to you. Okay. Whoops. All right, so let's see. Nope, those were actually, I'm going to put those out. They were from the last reading that I did, and they're just loose, so they're just wanting to jump out. Okay, let's see here. Oh, wow. Wow. So hollow bone teachability. Isn't that such a beautiful card? I just absolutely love this card. I love the colors. I love the energy. I love the vibe of this. So it is a 10 card. So there's that ending and beginning, and that's exactly where we're at. And so just sort of suspending our belief in it. That goes along with what I was just saying with some of the projections or you know, just wow, just really just focusing on your own journey and what's appropriate for you and what makes sense for you, because we don't know what another person is needing to go through or has gone through, or that. So that you know, the hollow bone, where it's like just kind of staying out of the mind and staying out of because again, we're going from one thing, we're transitioning, you know, we're in between, we're going from the old into the new, and the old it needs to go. It's what we're moving away from, and we can't bring it with us. So we have to be really open and open-minded and open in our energy fields. And a lot of that is also, this has been coming through a lot in the readings as well, is just that flow energy of like, you have what you need. Again, you have what you need to play your specific role, and to just trust that. And you don't need to get in your head or compare yourself to other people, or judge other people, or concern yourself with, because sometimes weird things are going on, but they're going on because something needs to unravel. Maybe that person is playing their perfect role in somebody else's life to unravel something. So you could look at it from your seat and judge it all, and feel like it's all wrong, but you don't know what knots are being unraveled or what connections are being made and all that mess. It's like, whoever said that things were supposed to not be messy? Who said that? The Matrix, the programming, the lack and limitation that wants everything to be linear, where everybody just corrals into their proper role. And it's like, real change and real evolution is chaotic, and it's messy, and it's mud, and it's blood, and it's crawling through the sewer. And it's like, some of us know that because we've done that and like died and been reborn over and over and over again, until that inner knowing has sparked within us, and the knowing of the web and the knowing of perfection. But for those people that haven't done that yet, it's like they get to go through their mess, and maybe there's more mess for all of us, but just allowing that spirit plan to come through. Again, the plan is for unity. The plan is for things to come together, but the way to get there is, it's intricate. And I notice sometimes in energy sessions, some people's energy is really methodical, and they kind of like do this and then this and then this and then this, and it's all orderly. And some people jump around, and it's like spider energy, where I'll notice they're going in a certain sequence, and then they'll kind of like go way over here, and they'll do something else, and then they go way over here, and I'm like, wow, it's like a spider web, like you're making these connections, and the inherent wisdom of the energy system or the higher self of a person, where it's like again, honoring that everybody's higher self and path knows exactly what it's doing to get them into this right alignment. It's like we're all transitioning into really suspend that judgment, and to suspend the old energy which says there's a certain way to do things, and letting everybody have the freedom to be messy or to be whatever it is, even if that is them being full of judgment and imperfection, like even that's okay, whatever it is, as we unravel this and as we make these new connections. Okay. And knowing that there is a plan, and that we are completing something, but again, yeah, a lot with that, that sort of non-judgment type of energy, even non-judgment on the judgment, right? Yeah. Just letting it all, because maybe that's not even the right word, just letting it all be what it is, letting everybody be as they are, as they unravel their attachment, as they unravel from the false creations, their own, and the conditioning in society and family and lineage that we've all been tangled in. We're untangling, and there needs to be a certain amount of grace in how that happens. Okay. Wow. So the Four of Wands again. So we get the Four of Wands twice. That's powerful. That's really communicating this unity, this unification, no matter what it looks like. And we might even feel like we're dissolving, or like that we're just held in this energy that we can't get out of, or however it feels. There's this really strong message coming through for us around just knowing that this is a time to celebrate, no matter what it feels like. It is, again, there's a plan. I feel like this message always comes through the cards often, where it's just always trying to reassure us, because I think it does get pretty heavy, but just this is about celebration. It is about a community effort. Again, we're all doing this, we're all playing our role, but it's about things coming together, things that were separate coming together onto this higher timeline, and just allowing things to move through. So again, this is like the energy work as well, like clearing things out, clearing out that which is in the way. So that's a big message of what we're doing right now. We're getting out of the way so that we are teachable, because if we're clouded with all this miscreation and conditioning and programming, then all this gorgeous new energy that's so celebratory, that's trying to come in, can't reach us. So any amount of pain or struggle or confusion or desperation or whatever it is that we're feeling, just to know that it's clearing us out so that we can receive. And I feel like there's a lot that we're receiving right now with 3i Atlas being so close. We've been receiving, it's been coming through. We all have Venus aspects, we all have Mars aspects, and solar aspects, and of course the sun. So we've been merging and dancing with this energy for a long time, but there's some sort of shifting thing going on right now in this moment. We are in this transition, and it's really beautiful. These cards are really, really beautiful. That unity consciousness, that web, that cosmic web that we're all in, and the coming together of this onto this higher timeline. But this card really jumps out as this teachability and hollow bone, and just getting out of the way and having the intention. And I feel like that's what a lot of us are doing, where we're seeing these the miscreations, but the center, the thing that created that, the core wound, the core abandonment, the core thing that happened that then created this whole web of distortion, right? Distortion, delusion, turning on self, right? And so having the intention to allow that and everything that's connected to it to clear, so that we can be this clear channel. And so we're at that root, we're at that bottom where the things are falling through, and just knowing that it's supported, that it's absolutely supported, and that there's a plan to this no matter what it feels like, and that we are getting on the other side of this, that we are coming into union with ourselves. It's like really amazing energy. So let me pull a little bit more here. This might be a little bit of a shorter reading today. I did want to touch into this energy, so we'll see where it goes. It might wrap up sooner, it might go longer. Let's see. Wow, the middle world. Oh, that's interesting. So the middle world. So this is it. This is the earth plane. You know, it's like we have all that underworld stuff where we're doing all the alchemy, and then we have the celestial stuff where we're reaching into the higher and bringing it down. But this is where it's planting itself. And this is the heaven on earth energy. This is how it's coming through for me, along with this, where it's like this is where we're landing this. A lot of us have done all this. I think those that would listen to these readings, you know, we've done a lot of work in the underworld, you know, in the behind, in the eights, you know, where there's all this stuff behind the scenes. We've been creating the template and the frames. I think this was coming up in the last reading as well. We've been creating in the astral, in the energetic, in the behind. We've been repairing through the timelines, through the alchemical underworld type of work. And now's the time where it's weaving. There's an energy of weaving with the Four of Wands, weaving together on this physical plane. It's like it's finally time, because didn't it feel like that? Like forever we were crawling through the sewers, and it might still feel that way, and it might feel that way for a little while longer, but we're getting better and better at this, where we're allowing things to move through. We're not telling stories. We're learning not to tell stories. We're learning not to let the energy stagnate. We're learning how to seal our boundaries and contain our energy so that we can do the alchemies and burn off what needs to be burned off. We're not blaming others or trying to save others. We're taking that accountability to do this within ourselves. And so there's enough of us doing that it's becoming the dominant frequency, where it's time for this energy to land, which is going to make it easier for those that are going next, that are coming next, that are following along, and they're going to have a completely different experience. It's like only the front runners have to crawl through hell and face Satan, you know, face Satan within yourself as yourself, and, you know, and love yourself and forgive everybody involved, and dissolve the whole duality consciousness and come into that unity consciousness web. There's only a small percentage of people that have to do that, and we have done that. And so now this is here, you know, this is here, and it's also that structured water flushing through and clearing the way for others. So as the next round, as the collective and the masses get hit, you know, onto this the earthly plane, you know, the middle world, it's exciting because it's landing. And there's that message again of we are the net, and we are holding space, because we've been through this, and we know that it's not as serious as it looks, you know, it's not as real as it looks, and that we do have this co-creation power that we tap into, and we know that everybody else will too. And so we're able to hold space for that, without judgment and without fear, and just to allow things to move and to flow through as they need to, as it comes out into this realm. That's really exciting. It's today I was looking at my cat. She was laying on my chest, and my little black cat with the green eyes. and she was so cute. She was like so freaking cute. I couldn't grasp the cuteness. It was like cuteness overload, I guess I say, where I was just like, I want to eat your face, but I know you won't like that, and it's just like, oh, like, what do I do? That's kind of the energy that I'm feeling with the energy on this table here with these cards, where it's like, it's so exciting what's happening, where this type of energy is landing, and it's landing, and there's like this pure channel coming through to land this, and just this one little message of like, we're in between, but this thing, it's like, it's hard to, and I've been talking about this for a little while in a lot of the readings, like, it's kind of unfathomable. That's why we have to dance it or tone it to anchor this energy. Because I remember the first time I went to California and I saw the redwoods, and I was driving through there, and I couldn't, it's the same thing. I couldn't take in the beauty. It's like, it almost like passed me by. It's like I went into like shock or something. Like I couldn't take in all the codes I was receiving and all the whatever it was. It's like it was just too much. And I feel like that's kind of how the energy is right now. Yeah. Okay. So this is helping me understand the Atlas energy, because now that we're like fully in it, it's like I almost can't register it. I think because it's so powerful, you can't register it. I think I'm gonna dance tonight, like dance and tone. And I haven't painted in a really long time. Just something to anchor this energy through in a very pure way. Coming back to that message again, the hollow bone, where it's like, we don't know anything, we don't know anything. This energy is so new and it's so powerful, and we've never experienced this type of unity, even before the fall, even before the hijacks on our divinity and our consciousness. We didn't experience it in the way that we are now, because we hadn't learned about the separation yet. They were together, and how wonderful, but it's different when you know what it's like to have them separate, and to have had created a shit show in your own life or in the world, or participating. That's the other thing that happens in sessions, is I always see the Akashic stuff in the knees. And so like the left knee is where people are always clearing out the persecution lifetimes and all the ways they were hunted and had to shut. So it's often connected to how we shut down and can't trust and listen to and honor our inner feminine, our inner knowing, our intuition. But then the right knee will go, and it's all the times when they were the perpetrator, because we played both sides, we played both sides. And for our souls to know that, to know both the light and the dark, and to know both the victim and the perpetrator, and to weave them together back into wholeness and unity, where it's all part of the web. And and again, it's not so serious. It's not so bad that we have to, judge and catastrophize and all this. It's part of the dance of creation. But to really be coming back to this unity after knowing what it's like for them to be separate, that's what's unfathomable. That's what we haven't done yet before. And doing it on this plane and on this earth after she's been hijacked and separated, and knowing light and dark, and being used and misused for light and for dark and for all these things, right? It's really unfathomable. So just that, cuteness overload, unification, mind-blowing, long-awaited energy overload. Okay, so wow. So this is interesting. So there's two cards here. So we get hunger. There's been a lot with wolves for me lately, synchronicity with wolves. And again, the pathfinder, those on the edge, finding the path and coming back and showing the way. But the hunger also, this kind of feels like a real personal message for me, because I used to also always dream of wolves, and there's the 11 again, and then passing through the portal. But I'm doing a collective reading, so this is telling me that what I'm, and I do know that what I experience is collective, because I read for the collective, but I often always sort of entertain, well, maybe this is just my version of it, but I am starting to feel that this hunger coming through as our passions and our desires. I think a lot of us have gotten steered away from our, and again, the 11 and 11. So tying these two together, our creation, our desires and our passions and our longings are how we create. Because if we're desiring something, then it pulls our energy, and it pulls our energy, and it makes us think about it, and it makes us dream about it, and it makes us plan about it. And that's creational energy. And a lot of us are afraid of our desires, especially if they're strong, or we might, again, this is like the judgment card and the non-judge, we might judge it as wrong. And so I was talking about the day that my daughter and I were and this was like part of the lead up to Atlas, when things were really heavy, where we had that expansion and then that extreme contraction. I know a lot of us were relating to that. But we were talking about our desires, and how even our desires that might have darkness or distortion in them are still to be honored, because we're untying knots. And sometimes to untie a knot, we have to go backwards, and we might have to go into some energy that's that we might judge as not good or impure or old energy or whatever. But we have to play it out, to go into it, to feel it, to heal it, to clear it, to be done with it. If we just stuff it in a closet and lock the door, and that's what I did with my Lilith energy this time last year. Like, I had been celibate for like 6 years, and it was just like, absolutely no, I wasn't being with anybody. And then I had this like crazy Lilith experience, and where I was judging myself at first, and then I knew to go with it and to let it play out. And it ended up going back to galactic levels, where I was connecting with the breeder programs and the victim perpetrator and the sexual slavery and all this, like the liar and Orion. It got so big. And if I would have denied myself that desire, I wouldn't have uncovered those things. So it's like trusting that like spirit is woven into those things too. And look at how that matches me. There's a lot with the yellow lately too, like allowing ourselves to take action. So, okay. Yeah. So the next card actually is action, taking action on those desires, because they're helping us to clear. They're helping us to go into situations, maybe even with people that are not good. Like even me with the man I was talking about when I was younger, and my car went through. Like, yes, I wasn't listening to myself, but I also was, because it's like I wanted to go into that situation because I felt like, well, I haven't experienced enough of the darkness. Like I can't know only the light. I need to go into the dark too, And so the wisdom of that, and the polarity and the paradox, and that's the whole Walt Whitman quote, that I mentioned last time. Like, I contradict myself very well. I contradicted myself. I am large, I contain multitudes. And it's like, there's always going to be paradoxes in life where, like, from a certain perspective, one thing is true, and it's definitely true. But then from another perspective, a completely opposite thing is true, and that's definitely true. And you can honor both at the same time and work with both of them at the same time. And that's that kind of like shapeshifter energy that was coming up last time, that fox energy as well, where you're just thinking on your feet and doing what you need to do in any moment, knowing that like you're being led, you're being guided, and to listen, and to allow the rules to change, and to allow the guidance to change, because it's not linear, right? So following those passions, following those desires, and taking action on them, and allowing other people the freedom to do that as well without judgment. It's like, I remember my friend, I never really resonated with any type of spiritual tradition or anything. I'm a mystic, and things come from within me, and then they're validated outwardly outside of me. And anytime I've tried to do any sort of like program or system, I was just always really bucky with it. But I always had people in my life that would like give me that were, kind of in those systems, and they were always really helpful to me because they would help me know I was on the right track. But I had a friend that was, she was Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist, and she would say, the lamas always say, to truly follow the path of Dharma, you would look like a crazy person to the normal person. And that was always so reassuring to me, and just following your own little crazy, your crazy guidance, and trusting it, knowing that your spirit has a plan, and that plan absolutely is back into unification, even if sometimes it looks and feels like the exact opposite of that. Okay. So that's a good message. I'm glad that came up. That feels important. Doing more oracle cards. I'm not doing a whole lot of tarot today. That's okay. How it's going. Okay. Oh yeah. Deep diver, diving into a task. And that's exactly what we've been doing, and that's the other thing when you're down there and you're at the roots and you feel like you're drowning, and you're like, how, I use the analogy of the wall, but also you're like, I'm so deep down, I don't know which end is up. Like, I don't know if I'm swimming down lower into the ocean where I'm not going to be able to breathe, or if I'm reaching the surface. And, that sort of moment of panic, but then remembering that you have gills, you know how to do this subterranean deep diving work. And part of why we haven't done it yet is because we've been conditioned and programmed away, and partially through judgment, like, oh, you have to be in your solar energy all the time, and you have to be productive, and if you can't do that, then you're worth, all these things, again, those false creations that have been around us that we've then judged ourselves against. But trusting like for me with the energy work in the sessions, it's like sometimes I have a lot and sometimes I don't have any. And I used to, like, whenever I'd have none, I'd be like, oh my God. But then I'd be like, well, wait a minute, I'm going through a really deep dive and a really deep alchemy. And like, this is very much connected to how I'm able to do the work that I do, because I do the work, I do the inner work. And then when I would come out and pop up above the surface, with illumination, then all of the sessions and readings, they would like somehow have some thread to what I just alchemized within myself. And I'd be able to hold space for them and to understand. So I was seeing over and over again over like a 16-year period that, again, there's a plan, there's a wisdom to it. And when you're taken offline and you need to go underground, maybe for months or years even, that it's necessary, and that you will come back up. And sometimes those dives are really deep, and some of us do things really thoroughly. So again, that deep dive where you dive completely into a task and you get it done. And again, it's coming out right under my non-judgment card. You're not judging yourself for that. This is number 10. So there's that completion, 10. There we go. Completion. That's how you get the job done. So a lot of the things that we're confronting right now, it's like maybe we didn't want to because they hurt too much, or we just couldn't look at it, or there were too many distractions, or too many, we had too many things that made us feel good that we couldn't get down to the bottom. And that's what's so beautiful about this time, being stripped down to the hollow bone where there's nothing left, there's no marrow inside of you. And so it just, swishes the whole way down to the bottom, where you can, what also is at the bottom is that treasure chest, that treasure chest on the bottom of the ocean floor, and getting that. And that treasure chest is also those lost pieces, those abandoned parts of ourselves that we left behind, and going down to get them, and trusting the journey to get them, and not worrying if other people are judging you or don't understand or holding you to a standard, or projecting things onto you, and that's fine. They, it's like you're doing your thing. If you're doing a deep dive, or you're going in and you're retrieving those gems, not only for yourself but for all of humanity, and so that as well, and that can also be connected to this energy as well. Sometimes the hungers pull us into a place we need to go to retrieve something. Like I said with mine, I had to go and retrieve some of my memories, some of my dark memories that I could not get to without the help of this desire, this sort of seduction energy that I took action on, that pulled me in, and then liberated me and liberated others as well that were part of those timelines, and then noticing other people doing similar things in their own way, right? So being called into saying yes to the tasks. And I know a lot of us, it's like we know what we want, we know what this higher timeline looks like, we know what our dreams and our goals are, but sometimes in order to get to that dream, you have to take these like sort of other steps that don't make sense, or that seem like they're in the opposite direction. But just trusting that there is a plan to it all, even if it looks funny, it's still taking you to that ultimate. So if like what you're doing isn't what you're engaging in, isn't the ultimate, that's okay. It's a part of getting you and humanity there. That feels like a really important message, and I can relate to that and see that in the people around me and their lives as well. All right, so I'm gonna do one last message here. I can't believe that I thought this was gonna be early at 35 minutes, and now we're almost at 55 minutes. Yeah. So evolution, exactly. That's what this is about. And we're making a huge evolutionary leap right now. I feel that very, very strongly today with this energy leading up to this. But I feel there's something that shifted in the realm. And again, mostly I'm saying that because I felt that was really validated in that session today, where it presented completely differently. There were different patterns, and that happens when there's a leap. Today being a really important, powerful day with 3 Atlas, and in terms of our evolution. And so here, these 2 colors, the higher timeline card, we're anchoring there, we're rising up, and again, always trusting the crunches, trusting the what it's all for, and whatever it takes to get there. This is just supreme surrender as well. Just surrendering and allowing everything to move the way it needs to, allowing yourself to go down as deep as you need to go, and knowing that you're not going to go insane. Even if you do go insane, that's okay. I always say the crazier the better. You know, that's when you know you're really freeing yourself. You're breaking through. You're breaking on through the other side, allowing your desires and to guide you, and not judging them, and not holding them up to a standard of perfection, not holding anybody else up to a standard of perfection. That's the matrix. That's the old game. That's the fucking bullshit. And so just allowing yourself to go down and to fall apart and to reclaim those lost parts. It's how we evolve. We can't avoid the depths. We can't avoid the deaths. We can't avoid the darkness. We can't avoid the darkness in ourselves. We have to go in so that we can unravel it, so that we can evolve. We're not just chasing light. We're not just chasing highs. You know, we're not just trying to feel good or prove to ourselves and others that we're enlightened because we're feeling good. No, we crash and burn over and over and over again until we burn off everything that's in the way, so that we can be a conduit and a vessel of this higher energy, whatever that takes. Again, the shapeshifter, the contradiction, the paradox, where you're all of it and all of it and none of it and everything in between. And that's part of the energy. That's part of this new energy and this unification, is that everything is welcome. Nothing is shut out. Nothing is judged. Wow. I think that is the main message of this. Unity is unity, and everything is included. And that's the light and the dark and the fall and the mess and the hunger, and yours and everybody else's. And just, you know, allowing it all. And it's the way through. It's the way through, because we are anchoring this here, and there is a great flush going on, and there's no avoiding it. So we might as well surrender to it, welcome it, and trust it. Also knowing that our desires are positive, very, very like visionary desires are also to be, like I said before a couple times, to be honored and to be held, even if you don't know how you're going to get there, or even if you think you're Pollyanna, or even if you think it's not possible. It's like allowing that desire to be there, honoring it, cherishing it, holding it, because in cherishing and holding it and honoring it and believing in it, we do land it. That's what we're doing. We are landing it here, and we're paving the way for others. We're showing them that it's possible, even if they're, you know, because people will defend and cling to victim consciousness and to lack and limitation, and they'll shame you, and they'll, you know, just put you in a little box. Like, meanwhile, you're trying to bust outside for everyone, you know, doing it for everyone. They might think you're being selfish or, you know, privileged or whatever it is, but you're actually, you're following your inner guidance, your crazy path of dharma, to liberate yourself and all others, you know, and all others. And so really honoring that, and honoring your higher visions and your higher goals, and allowing your life, allowing your spirit to walk you through, and knowing that's where you're going, knowing that's where we're all going, no matter what it looks like. So, okay, I am going to stop there. Thank you for listening. And I am available for readings in town and sessions in town, or on through FaceTime if you're not in town, and you'd like to do that through FaceTime. And yeah, and I do really long readings sometimes. I do hour-long readings with people, and it's co-creative as well, and it's wonderful to join energy. So just keep that in mind if you ever want to co-create and also want some support on your journey. So, all right, thank you for being here and for all that you're doing, and we'll see what happens from this amazing pivotal time in human evolution ending on this. Okay, much love. Bye-bye.